Her lips were blue. Her fingers were black from frostbite. She weighed 95 pounds and hadn't eaten in 4 days. But when a stranger collapsed 40 feet away, she didn't hesitate. She ran. She dropped to her knees on the frozen pavement and started CPR with hands that should have been too weak to save anyone. "It's what I'm trained for," she whispered. Then she collapsed into Jake Morrison's arms. A plastic bag fell from her torn pocket. Inside was a nursing license and $847,000 in medical debt. She was a healer. America left her to die in a parking lot. This is her story. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and follow this story to the very end. Comment the city you're watching from so I can see how far this story travels. Jake Hammer Morrison got the call at 11:31 p.m. "Jake, it's your mother. Your father collapsed. Chest pains. He's not responding. Ambulance is coming." His blood went cold. Mom, listen to me. Is he breathing? I don't know. Jake, please come." "I'm coming. Don't hang up. Keep talking to him." Jake threw on his leather vest, grabbed his keys, and was on his Harley in under 60 seconds. The January wind cut through him like broken glass. Temperature was 11 degrees. Roads were icy. He didn't care. His father was 68 years old. Vietnam veteran. The toughest man Jake had ever known. And right now that man was lying on his kitchen floor while Jake's mother screamed into the phone. He rode faster. Mercy General was 12 miles from his apartment. He made it in 9 minutes. A ride that should have killed him on those frozen roads. But Jake Morrison had buried his younger sister 3 years ago. Medical bankruptcy. A preventable infection that became unstoppable when she couldn't afford the antibiotics. He was not losing his father the same way. He was not losing anyone else. Jake pulled into the hospital parking lot at 11:47 p.m. His eyes scanned for the ambulance. Nothing. No lights. No sirens. Just an empty lot covered in snow. Where was the ambulance? He pulled out his phone. Called his mother. "Mom, where is he? Did they take him?" "They're not here yet, Jake. Traffic. There's an accident on the highway. They said 10 more minutes. 10 minutes. His father might not have 10 minutes. Jake started pacing, smoking, watching the road for lights. His hands wouldn't stop shaking. Every second felt like a lifetime. Then he heard something. Movement near the hospital's side entrance. A figure sitting up against the wall by a dumpster. Thin. Hunched. Wrapped in a coat that had stopped keeping anyone warm years ago. Homeless person, Jake thought. His mind barely registered it. He had bigger problems. Then his eyes caught something else. A man in his 60s stumbling from his car 40 feet away. Gray hair. Work jacket. He clutched his chest, took 3 steps, and went down hard on the ice. Jake started moving, but someone else was faster. The homeless figure exploded from the wall. A girl, skeletal thin. She sprinted across that parking lot like her life depended on it, dropped to her knees beside the fallen man, and her hands moved with precision Jake recognized. He'd spent 6 years in the Marines. He knew what trained hands looked like. This girl was trained. She checked the man's pulse, tilted his head back, started compressions. Perfect rhythm, perfect depth. Counting aloud. 1, 2, 3, 4. Jake reached them. "What do you need?" She didn't look up. Her voice cut through the freezing air with absolute authority. "Call 911. Tell them 60-year-old male cardiac arrest, CPR in progress. Then run inside. Red box on the wall by the ER entrance. AED. Bring it now. Go. Not a request, a command. Jake ran. The ER entrance was 200 feet away. He covered it in seconds. The red box was exactly where she said it would be. He grabbed the AED and ran back. When he returned, she was still working. 28-29-30. She tilted the man's head, delivered 2 rescue breaths. Back to compressions. Her whole body was shaking. Violent tremors. But her hands never faltered. Open it, she said without looking up. Turn it on. Follow the voice prompts. When it says clear, make sure no one's touching him. Jake fumbled with the AED. His hands were clumsy from cold and adrenaline. Come on, he muttered. The machine powered on. A calm, automated voice gave instructions. Apply pads to patient's bare chest. Jake pulled up the man's shirt. Applied the pads. Analyzing heart rhythm. Do not touch the patient. The girl lifted her hands, scooted back. She was breathing hard. Her lips were blue. Actual blue. Jake had seen frostbite in the Marines. This girl was hypothermic. Shock advised. Charging. Stand clear. Clear, Jake said. He pressed the button. The man's body convulsed. Resume CPR, the machine instructed. She was back on him immediately. Compressions. Counting. 30 seconds later, the man gasped. His eyes fluttered. His chest started rising on its own. She checked his pulse, nodded slowly. He's back. You did good. Jake stared at her. I didn't do anything. You just saved his life. She finally looked at him. Her face was gaunt, cheekbones sharp as knives. Her lips were blue. 3 fingers on her left hand showed visible frostbite where gloves should have been. She couldn't have weighed more than 95 pounds. She looked like she was dying. It's what I'm trained for, she said quietly. Then her eyes rolled back and she collapsed. Jake caught her before she hit the pavement. She weighed nothing. Like catching a child. Like catching something fragile that the world had already broken. ER staff rushed out with a gurney for the cardiac patient. A nurse reached for the girl. Sir, we need to treat her too. She's hypothermic. She needs... I got her. Sir, she could have frostbite organ damage she needs. Something fell from the girl's coat pocket. A plastic sleeve, sealed like someone was protecting something holy. Jake picked it up. An RN license. Emily Carter, registered nurse. The photo showed a young woman with bright eyes and a hopeful smile, nothing like the skeleton in his arms. And beneath the license-folded documents, medical bills. Jake's eyes scanned the numbers. $847,000. $847,000. His stomach dropped. He looked at the nurse standing in front of him, looked at the hospital behind her, looked at the girl in his arms who had just saved a stranger's life while dying of hypothermia. He knew exactly what would happen if he let them take her inside. They'd treat her. Then they'd bill her. Add another 50,000 to that number. Trap her deeper in the hole that was already killing her. Jake had watched this system destroy his sister. He knew how it worked. He knew what these hospitals did to people without insurance. Not again. Not this girl. She's with me, Jake said. Sir, she needs medical attention. She could die without... I've got a paramedic in my club. She's coming with me. Jake lifted Emily carefully. She was unconscious, barely breathing. The nurse started to protest. Jake's voice went cold. My father's in an ambulance right now. Raymond Morrison, cardiac patient. He should be here any minute. You treat him. I'll handle her. He walked away before she could respond. His hands were shaking. His mind was racing. $847,000. A registered nurse. trained to save lives, reduced to sleeping by a hospital dumpster. How does this happen in America? Jake secured Emily on his motorcycle, wrapped her in his jacket. She was ice cold against him. He made 3 phone calls as he rode. First call, 11:58 p.m. Frost, I need you at the clubhouse. Now. Hypothermia patient. Unconscious female, early 20s. Bring your full kit. I'm 20 minutes out. Keep her core warm. Don't let her temperature drop any further. I got her. Second call, 12:02 a.m. Wolf, it's Hammer. I've got a case for you. Medical debt investigation. $847,000. It's going to make you sick. Silence on the other end. Who's the victim? Young nurse, homeless, nearly died saving a stranger tonight. I'll explain when you get to the clubhouse. I'm on my way. Third call, 05 a.m. Thunder, we've got a situation. I need to call in the chapter. Every brother. This one matters. Thomas Thunder Williams had been chapter president for 11 years. He'd seen a lot of situations. But something in Jake's voice made him pause. What happened? A girl saved a stranger's life in a hospital parking lot tonight. While she was doing it, she was dying of hypothermia. She's a registered nurse, Thunder. Licensed, trained. And the medical system turned her into a homeless person because of debt. $847,000. Thunder was quiet for a long moment. Bring her in. I'll make the calls. Jake rode 42 miles to the Iron Brotherhood clubhouse, the fastest 42 miles of his life. Emily stayed unconscious the whole way. When he pulled up, Frost was already waiting. Daniel Frost had been a paramedic for 18 years before joining the club. He'd saved more lives than he could count. Get her inside. Now! They moved fast. Cot, heated blankets, IV fluids. Frost worked with calm precision while Jake paced. How bad is it? Frost checked Emily's temperature. His jaw tightened. Core temp is 91.2. She should be dead. Her body's been eating itself to survive. Look at her. BMI's maybe 15. Severe malnutrition on top of hypothermia. But she'll make it. If we get her stable in the next hour, maybe. She's tough. Whatever she's been through, her body's been fighting for a long time. Jake looked at Emily. Small. Broken. Still unconscious. She performed perfect CPR, in this condition, while she was freezing to death. Frost nodded slowly. That's training. Deep training. Once it's in your bones, your body does it even when your mind's shutting down. She's good at what she does. She was good at what she does. Past tense. Look at this. Jake handed Frost the documents. Frost read them. His face went pale. 847,000, that's what I saw. For what? I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out. By 1:00 a.m., the clubhouse was filling up. Wolf arrived first. Daniel Reeves had spent 15 years investigating insurance fraud before he'd realized the real fraud was happening on the other side. His daughter's best friend had taken her own life over medical debt at 19 years old. He'd quit corporate work that day and never looked back. Wrench came next. Marcus Chen had been a forensic accountant for the IRS. Now he used those skills to expose financial predators. Shepard arrived last. Luis Ramirez had spent 20 years as a school counselor. He understood trauma. He knew how to get people to talk. Thunder showed up at 1:30 a.m. He looked at Emily on the cot, looked at the documents spread across the table, looked at his brothers. Tell me everything, Jake told him. When he finished, Thunder's expression was carved from stone. Frost, what's her condition? Stable for now. She's warming up. IV fluids are helping, but she's severely malnourished. Hasn't had a proper meal in weeks, maybe months. And there's something else. What? The frostbite on her fingers. It's not new. She's got scarring from previous cold exposure. This girl's been living outside for a long time. Thunder turned to Wolf. Can you pull her records? With her consent, yes. Once she's conscious. What about public records? What can you find without consent? Wolf was already on his laptop. Debt filings are public. Liens, court records. Give me an hour. Thunder nodded. Then he looked at Jake. Your father. Jake checked his phone. His mother had texted. Surgery went well. Stents. He's stable. He's going to make it. Good. That's good. Thunder sat down heavily. He was 56 years old. Gray beard. Arms covered in union tattoos. 23 years as a steward at the auto plant before retiring to run the chapter full-time. His sister had died of medical bankruptcy in 2019. He had zero patience for healthcare profiteering. This girl, Thunder said quietly. She was homeless. Freezing. Starving. And when she saw a stranger collapse, she ran to help. Yeah, that's who she is. A healer. And the system broke her for it. That's what it looks like. Thunder's jaw tightened. Then we fix it. At 3:47 a.m., Emily woke up. Her first words were exactly what Jake expected. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll leave. I didn't mean to. She tried to get up. Frost gently pressed her back down. Easy. You're safe. Nobody's kicking you out. Emily's eyes darted around the room. Panic. Terror. The look of someone who'd been thrown out of places too many times to count. Where am I? Who are you? I don't have any money. I can't pay for. You're not paying for anything, Jake said. He pulled a chair beside her cot. Sat down. My name's Jake Morrison. You saved my father's life tonight. Emily blinked. Confusion. The man in the parking lot. No, he was a stranger. Not him. Different situation. Jake leaned forward. My father had a heart attack at home tonight. Ambulance got stuck in traffic. While you were saving that stranger while I was watching you work, my father's ambulance finally arrived. If I'd been inside the hospital panicking if I hadn't seen you, I wouldn't have been there when they wheeled him in. His voice dropped. You gave me 5 minutes with my dad before surgery. Might have been the last 5 minutes I'll ever get with him. Emily's eyes filled with tears. Is he made it. Surgery went well. He's going to recover. Emily started crying. Really crying. Months of holding everything together, and this stranger's kindness shattered her. Jake put a hand on her shoulder. Here's the deal, Emily. You saved my family. Now my brothers are going to save yours. I don't have any family. You do now. Jake slid her RN license across the blanket. This is who you are. A nurse. Not a debt. Not a case number. A healer. Emily looked at the license. At the photo of who she used to be. Her hands trembled. That girl doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, she does. She performed perfect CPR while dying of hypothermia. She's still in there, Emily. She never left. Behind Jake, the other men in the room watched in silence. 5 of them. All wearing similar vests. All waiting. Emily looked at them. Who are you people? Thunder stepped forward. We're the Iron Brotherhood. Jake's one of ours. You saved his father, which means you're under our protection now. Protection from what? From whatever put you in that parking lot. Emily's face crumbled. You can't protect me from that. Nobody can. It's too big. It's everywhere. Try us. Thunder sat down across from her. We've got a paramedic who's going to make sure you recover. We've got an investigator who's going to tear apart your debt file. We've got a forensic accountant who's going to find every fraudulent charge. We've got a counselor who's going to help you tell your story. And we've got 214 brothers who will show up if we call them. Emily shook her head. You don't understand. It's $847,000. I can't even... We don't care about the number. We care about how you got there. Because from where I'm sitting, the system didn't just fail you. It hunted you. Emily went still. What? Wolf looked up from his laptop. I've been pulling public records for the last 2 hours. Your debt was sold by Mercy General Hospital to a company called Meridian Debt Solutions 8 months ago. I know. They call me. They called me every day until my phone got shut off. They paid the hospital $37,000 for your debt. Emily stared at him. What? Your original debt was $312,000. Meridian bought it for 12 cents on the dollar, $37,000. Then they added 380% interest. That's how it became $847,000. That's legal. In this state, yes. Medical debt has almost no protections. They can charge whatever interest they want. Emily's hands curled into fists. So they paid $37,000, and now they're going to collect $847,000, and they took everything from me to do it. There's more. Wolf turned his laptop to face her. I found an email chain that became public during a previous lawsuit against Meridian. Look at this one. Dated 2 weeks after your accident. Emily read the screen. Her face went white. Carter E. High-value target. Recent RN grad. Clean credit prior. She'll pay. Prioritize. They targeted you, Wolf said. Specifically. Because you were a licensed nurse. Because they knew you'd fight to keep your license. Emily couldn't speak. There's another email, Wolf continued. Dated 1 month later. Insurance gap confirmed. She's undefended. File garnishment immediately upon sale completion. They knew I didn't have insurance. They knew. They waited. They struck when you couldn't fight back. Thunder leaned forward. Emily, how did you end up in that parking lot? Start from the beginning. Emily was quiet for a long moment. Then she started talking. 15 months ago, I graduated nursing school. Top of my class. I got hired at Mercy General. Same hospital where I trained. Same hospital that just billed me into homelessness. Her voice was flat, distant. My start date was October 15th. My insurance would activate that day. 4 days before my first shift, I was driving to an orientation meeting. A drunk driver ran a red light and hit me. He fled the scene. They never found him. Jake's hands tightened. I had a ruptured spleen, fractured pelvis, internal bleeding. I was in surgery for 9 hours. I woke up 8 days later. The hospital saved my life. She laughed bitterly. Then they billed me $312,000. My insurance wasn't active yet. 4 days away. I asked for financial aid. The hospital said no. I was employed, even though I hadn't worked a single shift, even though I hadn't received a single paycheck. I was employed, so I didn't qualify. That's insane, Jake said. That's the system. Emily continued. I tried to negotiate. They offered me a payment plan, $4,800 a month. My nursing salary would have been $4,200 after taxes. I couldn't pay more than I earned, so they sold my debt. To Meridian. 73 days after my accident. Before I could even recover. Before I could even try to go back to work. Wolf made notes. What happened after they bought it? They filed wage garnishment immediately. They took 78% of everything I made. I was bringing home $71 a month. My rent was $1,200. My car payment was $380. I couldn't survive. So you lost your apartment, Thunder said. After 2 months, I lived in my car for 7 months. Then they found out where I was parking and repossessed my car, added $3,800 in fees. And your nursing license, Emily's voice cracked. My license came up for renewal, $900 fee. I didn't have $900, I couldn't get $900. Every dollar I made, they took 78% before it even hit my account. I tried to explain. I tried to beg. They suspended my license for non-payment. Jake understood. And without your license, I can't work. Without work, I can't pay the fee. Without paying the fee, I can't get my license back. It's a perfect trap. No way out. The room was silent. Thunder's voice was quiet but firm. How long have you been homeless, Emily? 11 months. Where have you been sleeping? Wherever. Shelters sometimes. But I usually give my bed away. There are mothers with children, elderly people. They need it more. What about food, when I can find it? When's the last time you ate? Emily hesitated. I don't remember. Frost spoke up. 4 days. Based on her blood work, she hasn't had a proper meal in at least 4 days. Thunder stood up, walked to the window, stood there for a long moment. When he turned back, his expression was carved from granite. Emily, I'm going to ask you something important, and I need you to answer honestly. Okay. That night in the parking lot, before you saw that man collapse, what were you planning to do? Emily didn't answer. Emily. Her voice came out as a whisper. I was planning to let the cold take me. Jake felt something break inside him. Thursday was supposed to be my last night. I was done. 11 months of fighting and nothing ever got better. It only got worse. Every time I tried, they found another way to take from me. So I decided to stop trying. Tears streamed down her face. Then that man collapsed, and I couldn't just watch him die. I'm a nurse. That's who I am. Even when I wanted to die, I couldn't let someone else die if I could help. She looked at Thunder. So I helped. I ran. I did what I was trained to do, and then my body gave up. Thunder walked back to her cot. He knelt down so they were eye to eye. You listen to me. That system, the one that tried to kill you, we're going to tear it apart. Not just for you. For everyone else it's destroying. But I need you to do something for me first. What? I need you to stay alive long enough to see it happen. Can you do that? Emily looked at him. At Jake. At the other men who had gathered around a stranger in the middle of the night. Why do you care? You don't even know me. Because my sister died of medical bankruptcy 3 years ago. Because Jake's sister died of it 3 years ago. Because we've all lost someone to this system. And because you're a healer, Emily. You dedicated your life to helping people. The least we can do is help you. Emily broke down. Really broke down. Shepard moved in, put a blanket around her shoulders, let her cry. Jake stepped back, looked at Wolf. What else can you find? A lot. Give me until morning. Do it. Thunder gathered the others. Here's what's happening. Frost stays with Emily. Medical monitoring, counseling support when she's ready. Shepard, I need you to document her full story. Timeline, testimony, everything. We're building a legal case. Wolf Wrench, keep digging. I want to know everything about Meridian Debt Solutions. Who runs it? How it operates. Every victim they've destroyed. He looked at Jake. Your father's stable? Yeah. Good. Then you're with me. We're making some calls. By 6:00 a.m., the investigation was in full swing. Wolf had pulled 37 documents from public records. Wrench had mapped Meridian's corporate structure, and they'd made a discovery that would change everything. Emily Carter wasn't alone. There were 52 other victims, all young healthcare workers, all hit during job transitions, all targeted by the same collection agency, same hospital, same pattern, same systematic destruction. And it all led back to one name, Richard Blackwood, Regional Director of Meridian Debt Solutions. He made $380,000 a year plus commission. His division had collected $97 million in the past 12 months. And somewhere in his files was a training manual that called homelessness temporary leverage. Wolf looked at Thunder. This isn't one girl's bad luck. This is a machine designed to destroy people, and we just found the man who operates it. Thunder's eyes went cold. Then we shut him down, all of it, every piece. He picked up his phone. Time to call in the chapter. The phone calls started at 6:15 a.m. Thunder stood in his office, dialing number after number. Jake watched him work. Every call was the same. Short, direct, urgent. Emergency chapter meeting. Tomorrow. 2 p.m. Clubhouse. Every brother within 100 miles. This one matters. By his 14th call, Thunder's voice was hoarse, but he kept going. Wolf burst through the door at 7:30 a.m. His face was pale. His hands were shaking. Thunder, Jake, you need to see this. They followed him to the main room where Wrench had set up 3 laptops. Documents covered every surface. Printouts, spreadsheets, highlighted pages. Emily was awake now, sitting up on her cot with a blanket wrapped around her shoulders. Shepard sat beside her. She looked terrified. What did you find? Thunder asked. Wolf pointed to the first laptop. I started with Emily's hospital bills, the original $312,000. I pulled every itemized charge. And it's fraud, straight up fraud. Emily leaned forward. What do you mean? Wolf turned the screen toward her. This line item. Emergency appendectomy. $47,000. Emily stared at it. Her face went white. I didn't have an appendectomy. I had spleen surgery. I know, but they billed you for it anyway. That's not possible. That's a completely different... There's more. Wolf scrolled down. Physical therapy consultation. $8,400. Dated October 19th. Emily's voice cracked. October 19th, I was in a medically induced coma. I couldn't even move. Neurological assessment. $12,000. Cardiac stress test. $6,800. Psychiatric evaluation. $4,200. I never had any of those. I was unconscious for 8 days. How could I have a psychiatric evaluation? Wolf sat back. Because they made it up. Conservative estimate $89,000 in phantom charges. Procedures that never happened. Services never rendered. They billed you for surgeries while you were in a coma, Emily. Thunder's jaw tightened so hard Jake could hear his teeth grinding. So, her actual medical debt should be what? Wrench pulled up a spreadsheet. If we remove the fraudulent charges we're looking at, approximately $223,000 for actual services rendered. Still astronomical for 8 days of care, but at least real. And Meridian bought it for $37,000, Jake said. Correct. They paid 12 cents on the dollar for debt that was already inflated by fraud. Then they added 380% interest. Then they garnished her wages, took her car, destroyed her credit, got her license suspended. Emily started crying again. I almost died. I almost let myself die. Over charges that never even happened. Shepard put his arm around her. Wolf's voice was gentle but firm. Emily, I need to ask you something important. When you got the original bill, did you dispute it? Did you request an itemized statement? I tried. I called the billing department 6 times. Every time they put me on hold for hours. Then they'd transfer me. Then the call would drop. I sent 3 letters. They never responded. And then Meridian bought the debt, and it was too late. It's not too late now, Thunder said. But it's been over a year. Fraud doesn't have a statute of limitations like that. especially not when we've got documentation. Wolf pulled up the second laptop. Now here's where it gets worse. I told you there were 52 other victims. I spent the last 4 hours pulling every public record I could find on Meridian's cases in this region. He turned the screen to show a spreadsheet with names, dates, amounts. 52 young healthcare workers, all hit by uninsured drivers, all during job transition periods when their insurance was inactive, all targeted by Meridian within 90 days of their accidents. Jake stared at the list. That's not coincidence. No, it's not. Wrench spoke up. I mapped the pattern. Every single victim fits the same profile. Recent graduate, licensed professional, clean credit history, 0 assets, maximum student loan debt. Why does that matter? Emily asked. Because it means you'll fight. Licensed professionals will do anything to keep their credentials. You'll pay until you have nothing left. Then you'll keep paying because you can't work without your license. Thunder picked up one of the printouts. They're hunting people who can't fight back. It's worse than that, Wolf said. They're hunting people who have no choice but to keep fighting. It's not just predatory. It's systematic. It's a business model. He pulled up a document on the third laptop. This is Meridian's internal training manual. It became public during a lawsuit in Indiana 3 years ago. Look at page 47. Thunder read aloud. Homelessness is a temporary leverage point. Do not reduce debt load. Maintain collection pressure. Family intervention occurs in 67% of cases within 6 months. The room went silent. They planned for her to become homeless, Jake said. They counted on it. Their projections actually factor in the homeless period. They assume the victim's family will eventually step in and pay to make it stop. Emily's voice was barely a whisper. I don't have family. My parents died when I was 16. I aged out of foster care. I have no one. Wolf nodded slowly. Which is why you fell through their projections. They expected someone to rescue you within 6 months. When no one did, they just kept squeezing. Thunder set down the document. Who runs this operation? Who's making these decisions? Wolf pulled up a corporate headshot. Richard Blackwood, Regional Director, 54 years old, oversees Meridian's Midwest Division. His territory covers Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Illinois. The photo showed a man in an expensive suit, professional smile, silver hair perfectly styled. He makes $380,000 base salary plus 14% commission on collections. Last year, his division brought in $97 million. $97 million, Thunder repeated. From destroying people like Emily, from hunting young healthcare workers during the most vulnerable moments of their lives. Jake felt his hands forming fists. Where does he live? Suburb outside Columbus. $1.4 million house. Gated community. Wife. 2 kids. Golden retriever. Of course, Wolf continued. He's a church deacon. Coaches youth baseball. Donates to children's hospitals. Emily laughed bitterly. He donates to hospitals. He destroys people to pay for hospital donations. The irony isn't lost on me. Thunder turned to Emily. I need to ask you something difficult. Will you testify publicly about everything that happened to you? Emily hesitated. I don't know if I can. I understand, but here's the truth. We can investigate all we want. We can expose every fraudulent charge. But without a human face, without someone willing to stand up and tell their story, it's just numbers on paper. Numbers don't change anything. Stories do. Emily looked at her hands, the frostbite scars on her fingers. I've spent 11 months trying to disappear, trying to become invisible. And now you want me to stand in front of the world and say, here I am, this is what they did to me. Yes. Why would anyone care? I'm nobody. Jake spoke up. You're not nobody. You're a nurse who saved a stranger's life while dying of hypothermia. You're the human cost of a system that's killing healers for profit. And if you're willing to tell your story, there are 52 other people just like you who might finally get justice. Emily was quiet for a long moment. Then she looked at Thunder. What do you need me to do? Shepard stepped in. Let's start simple. Just tell me what happened. From the beginning. Every detail you can remember. We'll record it, document it, build a timeline. And then we figure out who else needs to hear it. Emily took a deep breath. Okay. Where do I start? Start with the accident. October 11th. Tell me everything. Emily closed her eyes. I was driving to an orientation meeting. New employee paperwork. Benefits enrollment. 4 days before my first real shift. I was so excited. I had my scrubs in the back seat. I was going to put them on for the first time. Her voice steadied as she spoke. The light was green. I remember that. Green light. I was going through the intersection, and then there was this sound. Metal. Glass. The whole world spun. Shepard recorded everything. When I woke up, I was in the hospital. My hospital. The same ER where I was supposed to work. The nurses who would have been my colleagues were treating me. One of them was crying when she checked my vitals. Do you remember her name? Rachel. Dr. Rachel Nguyen. She was the attending physician. She held my hand when I woke up. She said, "You're going to be okay. We took care of you." Emily opened her eyes. They did take care of me. The medical team. They saved my life. It's not the doctors and nurses who destroyed me. It's the system behind them. The billing department, the administrators, the collection agencies. What happened when you got the bill? 73 days after my accident. I was still recovering, still in pain, still going to physical therapy. I got an envelope in the mail. $312,000. What did you do? I called the hospital. I asked about financial assistance. The woman on the phone asked if I was employed. I said yes, technically, but I hadn't started work yet. She said I didn't qualify. Did you appeal? 3 times. Denied every time. Same reason. Employment status. What about payment plans? They offered $4,800 a month. I explained I'd only be making $4,200. The woman said, "That sounds like a personal budgeting issue, not a billing issue." Then she hung up. Jake muttered something under his breath. After that, I tried to go back to work. I pushed through the pain. I started my job. For 6 weeks, I thought maybe I could make it work. Pay down the debt. Keep my apartment. Stay alive. What happened? Meridian happened. They bought my debt and filed for wage garnishment the same week. I got my first paycheck, $4,200. After garnishment, I took home $71. $71. $71. My rent was $1,200. My car payment was $380. My phone was $85. Utilities, food, medicine for the pain that never went away. She laughed bitterly. I remember sitting in my apartment that night looking at that paycheck, doing the math over and over. Like if I just calculated it differently, the numbers would change. But they never did. How long before you lost the apartment? 2 months. I couldn't pay rent. I couldn't pay anything. The landlord tried to work with me. He really did. But eventually he had to evict me. He cried when he handed me the papers. Where did you go? My car. I lived in my car for 7 months. Parked in different places every night so no one would notice. Hospital parking garages were the warmest. The irony, right, living in the parking lot of the hospital that billed me into homelessness. Shepard's voice was soft. How did they find your car? I don't know. Maybe license plate recognition. Maybe they tracked my phone before it got shut off. One morning I woke up and there was a tow truck. They took everything. My car, my clothes, my nursing textbooks, everything I had left in the world. Everything except your license. Emily touched the plastic sleeve that still sat on the table beside her. I hid it. In my coat. I couldn't let them take that. It's the only proof that I used to be someone. That I used to matter. Thunder spoke. You still matter, Emily. You never stopped mattering. That's easy to say when you have a home, when you have people who care about you. You have people now. Emily looked around the room, at the bikers who had stayed up all night investigating her case, at the paramedic who had saved her life, at the man whose father she'd saved by accident. Why, I still don't understand why you're doing this, Jake answered. 3 years ago, my sister got sick. Infection after surgery. She needed follow-up antibiotics. She couldn't afford them. By the time someone convinced her to go back to the hospital, the infection had spread. She died 6 weeks later. His voice cracked. She was 34 years old. She was a teacher. She dedicated her whole life to helping kids. And she died because she couldn't afford medication that costs $30 at a pharmacy. Emily watched him. After that, I joined the Brotherhood, because Thunder lost his sister the same way, because half the guys in this room have lost someone to the same broken system. We can't bring them back, but we can fight for the people who are still here. He met her eyes. You're still here, Emily. You're still fighting. That's why we care. Emily was crying again, but this time it wasn't despair. It was something else, something she'd forgotten how to feel. Hope. Thunder's phone buzzed. He checked it and looked up. That's the last confirmation. Chapter meeting is set. Tomorrow 2 p.m. Every brother within 100 miles. 214 riders confirmed. He turned to Emily. You've got one job between now and then. Eat. Rest. Recover. Let Frost take care of you. And then we vote on full mobilization. If the chapter agrees, we go to war. Legal war. Media war. Political war. What if they vote no? Thunder smiled, but there was no humor in it. They won't. At 9 a.m., Wolf made his first official call of the investigation. Dr. Rachel Nguyen answered on the second ring. Who is this? Dr. Nguyen, my name is Daniel Reeves. I'm calling about Emily Carter. Silence on the other end. Are you a debt collector? No, ma'am. I'm the opposite. I'm trying to help her. Another pause. Is she alive? Yes, she's alive. Dr. Nguyen exhaled. Thank God. I've been trying to find her for months. I saw her sleeping in the parking garage last fall. I didn't recognize her at first. She'd lost so much weight. When I realized who she was, I tried to help. Offered money. Medical care. She refused everything. Why did she refuse? She said the collectors would seize any money I gave her through court order. She said getting treated at the hospital would just add to her debt. She was terrified of being helped because help always came with strings. Wolf took notes. Dr. Nguyen, would you be willing to testify about her condition, about what you witnessed? Absolutely, without hesitation. I need to warn you, this could make things difficult for you at the hospital. You'd be going against your employer. My employer billed a 23-year-old nurse into homelessness and watched her slowly die in their parking lot. I took an oath to protect life. That includes protecting people from systems that kill them. Wolf felt something loosen in his chest. We'll be in touch, Dr. Nguyen. Wait, is she really okay, Emily? She's recovering, malnourished, hypothermic, but she's going to make it. Tell her something for me. Tell her I never stopped looking for her. Tell her I'm sorry I couldn't do more. I'll tell her. Wolf hung up and looked at Wrench. That's one witness. Who's next? Wrench pulled up another name. Security guard at Mercy General. Marcus Thompson. 28 years on the job. Records show he filed 2 incident reports about debt collectors harassing a visitor on hospital property. When? 4 months ago, and 6 weeks ago. Wolf dialed. Marcus Thompson answered on the 4th ring. His voice was tired. Night shift just ending. Mr. Thompson, I'm calling about Emily Carter. The line went quiet. Is she dead? No, she's alive. I thought for sure she was dead. I stopped seeing her around Thanksgiving. Figured the cold finally got her. She almost died 3 nights ago. Some people found her in time. Thank God. That girl. She never hurt anyone. Every time I found her sleeping in the ER waiting room, she was so apologetic. Always offered to leave. I let her stay because it was 20 degrees outside and she weighed nothing. You filed incident reports about debt collectors. Marcus's voice hardened. Yeah, I did. Twice. 2 men in suits. They cornered her by the coffee stand. I couldn't hear everything, but I heard enough. What did you hear? One of them said, "You can't hide from this. We'll garnish every dollar you ever make for the rest of your life." Emily was shaking. She said she didn't have anything left to take. The guy laughed. Actually laughed. Wolf felt his jaw clench. What happened to the incident reports? Nothing. I followed up a week later. My supervisor told me to drop it. Said the men were from a legitimate collection agency with legal right to contact debtors on public property. Did you see them interact with anyone at the hospital? The second time. After they finished with Emily, one of them talked to someone from administration. Friendly conversation. Like they knew each other. Wolf wrote that down. Would you testify about what you saw in a heartbeat? What they did to that girl was wrong. The hospital letting it happen was worse. By noon, Wolf had 4 witnesses lined up. Dr. Rachel Nguyen, who'd watched Emily deteriorate and tried to help. Marcus Thompson, who'd witnessed the harassment and documented it. Dorothy Williams, shelter coordinator, who'd watched Emily give away her bed to mothers with children 11 times. Amanda Chen, nursing school classmate, who'd found Emily unrecognizable from weight loss and watched her run away in shame. 4 people who'd seen what the system did. 4 people willing to say it out loud. But the most devastating testimony came from someone Wolf hadn't expected. At 3 p.m., his phone rang. Unknown number. Is this the investigator? The one looking into Meridian. Wolf straightened. Who is this? My name is Patricia Goodwin. I used to work at Meridian Debt Solutions. Regional office. I was Richard Blackwood's assistant for 3 years. Wolf's heart stopped. Ms. Goodwin, why are you calling me? Because I quit 6 months ago. Because I couldn't do it anymore. Because every night I go home and see their faces. All the people we destroyed. All the lives we ended. Her voice cracked. I have documents, internal emails, training materials, commission structures. Everything. Why didn't you go to the authorities? I tried. I went to the state attorney general. They told me Meridian's practices were technically legal under Ohio law. Nothing they could do. But you kept the documents. I kept everything. I've been waiting for someone to care enough to do something about it. Wolf looked at Thunder, who had been listening from across the room. Ms. Goodwin, can you meet with us tomorrow before 2 p.m.? I can meet you in an hour. Wolf covered the phone. Thunder, we've got a whistleblower. Blackwood's former assistant. She has everything. Thunder's eyes went wide. Get her here, now! Patricia Goodwin arrived at the clubhouse at 4:30 p.m. She was 51 years old. Gray hair. Tired eyes. She carried 2 boxes of documents. I worked for Richard Blackwood for 3 years, she said. I processed the cases. I made the calls. I filed the garnishments. She looked at Emily, who was watching from her cot. I processed your case. I remember your name. Carter Emily. High-value target. I typed those words. I flagged your file. Emily stared at her. Patricia started crying. I am so sorry. I knew what we were doing was wrong. I knew we were destroying people. But I needed the job. I needed the health insurance. My husband has diabetes. Without insurance, we couldn't afford his medication. She laughed bitterly. Isn't that funny? I destroyed people over medical debt so I could keep health insurance for my own family. I'm part of the same broken system I was helping to break. Thunder stepped forward. Miss Goodwin. The documents. What do they show? Patricia opened the first box. Everything. Targeting criteria. Collection quotas. Commission structures. Internal emails celebrating when victims lost their homes, when they declared bankruptcy, when they gave up. She pulled out a folder. And this is the worst part. This is what made me quit. She handed it to Thunder. He opened it. His face went gray. What is it? Jake asked. Thunder's voice was barely a whisper. It's a list. 17 names, all young healthcare workers, all former Meridian victims. He looked up. They're all dead. Suicide, every single one. The room went absolutely silent. Emily made a sound, a small, broken sound. 17 people, Thunder said. 17 people killed themselves because of what this company did to them, and Meridian has a spreadsheet tracking it. Patricia nodded. They call it account closure through client termination. They have a code for it, CT7. When someone dies, they close the file and move on. They have a code for suicide victims. They have a code for everything. Death, bankruptcy, family intervention, running away, homelessness. Everything that happens to their victims is just a number, a statistic, a category. Thunder set down the folder. His hands were shaking. Tomorrow, he said quietly. Tomorrow we vote, and then we burn this whole thing to the ground. The night before the vote, Emily couldn't sleep. She lay on her cot in the clubhouse, staring at the ceiling. Frost had checked her vitals at midnight. Temperature normal. Blood pressure stable. 6 pounds heavier than when Jake had carried her through that door. But her mind wouldn't stop. 17 people. 17 names on a spreadsheet. 17 graves because of a company that had a code for suicide. She kept thinking about how close she'd come to being number 18. At 3 a.m., she heard footsteps. Jake appeared with 2 cups of coffee. Can't sleep either. Emily sat up, took the cup. How do you do it? How do you carry something like this and keep moving? Jake sat down in the chair beside her. You don't carry it alone? That's the whole point. You find people who understand. People who've lost what you've lost. And you carry it together. But you barely know me. I know enough. I know you saved a stranger's life while you were dying. I know you gave away shelter beds to mothers with children. I know you kept your nursing textbooks in a waterproof bag because you couldn't bear to let go of who you used to be. Emily's eyes filled with tears. I'm scared. Of what? Of tomorrow. Of standing up in front of all those people. Of telling my story out loud. What if they don't believe me? What if they think I'm just making excuses for my own failures? Jake set down his coffee. Emily, 214 men are driving through the night to be here tomorrow. Some of them are riding 3 hours in January cold. They're not coming because they doubt you. They're coming because they believe you. Why, they've never even met me. Because every single one of them has lost someone to this system. Every single one of them knows what it feels like to watch someone they love get destroyed by debt they couldn't control. You're not alone in this. You never were. Emily wiped her eyes. What if we lose? What if Meridian is too powerful? What if nothing changes? Jake was quiet for a moment. My sister asked me that same question, 3 weeks before she died. She said, "What's the point of fighting when the system always wins?" His voice cracked. I didn't have a good answer then, but I have one now. The point of fighting isn't winning. The point is making sure they can't pretend nobody fought back. Emily looked at him. What happened to your sister? You said she died of an infection. She was a teacher, 3rd grade. Loved those kids more than anything. She had surgery for gallstones, routine procedure. But there was a complication. Infection. She needed follow-up antibiotics. He paused. Her insurance denied the claim. Said the infection wasn't related to the original surgery. She couldn't afford the medication out of pocket. By the time she finally went back to the hospital, the infection had spread. She died 6 weeks later. I'm so sorry. She was 34 years old. She dedicated her whole life to helping children, and she died because an insurance company decided her infection wasn't worth treating. Emily reached out and touched his hand. That's why you're doing this. That's why we're all doing this. Because the system killed people we loved, and we'll be damned if we let it kill anyone else. They sat together until sunrise. At 1:30 p.m., the motorcycles started arriving. Emily heard them before she saw them. The rumble of engines. Dozens of them. Then hundreds. She walked to the window and looked out. The parking lot was filling up. Row after row of bikes. Men in leather vests climbing off, shaking hands, slapping backs. Some of them looked like they'd been riding all night. How many? She asked. Thunder appeared beside her. 214 confirmed. Looks like we got a few extras. Word travels fast when something matters. Emily watched the men gathering outside. They all came for me. They came for what you represent. A system that destroys the people trying to heal us. They came because it's wrong, and because they can do something about it. At exactly 2 p.m., Thunder called the meeting to order. The main room was packed. Men stood shoulder to shoulder, pressed against walls, filling every inch of space. Emily had never seen anything like it. Thunder stood at the front. Behind him, a projector displayed Emily's RN license photo. Young, smiling, full of hope. Next to it, a photo from 3 nights ago. Skeletal, frostbitten, barely alive. This is Emily Carter, Thunder said. 3 nights ago, she saved a stranger's life in a hospital parking lot while dying of hypothermia. She's 23 years old. She's a registered nurse. She graduated nursing school with honors 15 months ago. She wanted to spend her life helping people. He clicked to the next slide. Her medical bills. This is what the system did to her. $312,000 in bills for emergency surgery after a drunk driver hit her. Driver fled the scene. No insurance. Emily's hospital insurance hadn't activated yet. 4 days away. Hospital denied financial aid because she was employed even though she hadn't received a single paycheck. The room was silent. Hospital sold her debt to Meridian Debt Solutions for 12 cents on the dollar. Meridian added 380% interest. They garnished 78% of her wages before her first paycheck cleared. They repossessed her car. They got her nursing license suspended when she couldn't pay a $900 administrative fee. He clicked to the next slide. Richard Blackwood's photo. This is the man who runs the division that targeted her. Richard Blackwood. Makes $380,000 a year plus 14% commission on collections. His division made $97 million last year by doing this to young healthcare workers. Thunder paused. We've identified 52 other victims, all the same pattern. All young nurses, paramedics, medical techs, all hit during job transitions. all targeted specifically because they're licensed professionals who will do anything to keep their credentials. He clicked one more time. The screen showed a list. 17 names. Dates of death. And this is what Meridian doesn't want anyone to know. 17 former victims, all dead. Suicide. Every single one. Meridian has a code for it in their system. CT7. Client termination. Someone in the crowd muttered an obscenity. They don't just destroy people's finances. They destroy their will to live, and then they file it away like a completed transaction. Thunder turned to face the chapter. I'm asking for a vote on full chapter mobilization, legal investigation, media exposure, political advocacy, community support. We don't stop until Meridian is shut down and every single one of those 52 victims gets justice. He paused. This will take months, maybe years. It'll cost us money, time, energy. It might put targets on our backs from a corporation with very deep pockets. His voice hardened. But here's what I know. Emily Carter saved Jake's father's life while she was dying. She's a healer. And this system is killing healers for profit. If we don't stand up for people like her, then what the hell are we doing wearing these vests? The room stayed quiet for 3 seconds. Then Frost stood up. I'm in. Wolf stood. In. Wrench stood. All the way in. One by one, every man in that room rose to his feet. Not a single person stayed seated. 231 men voting with their bodies. Thunder looked at Jake. Jake was crying. All right then, Thunder said quietly. Let's go save a nurse and break a system. The first legal move happened Monday morning at 8 a.m. Wolf had spent the entire weekend coordinating with a pro bono legal team from Cleveland. 3 lawyers who specialized in medical debt cases. They'd reviewed the evidence, analyzed the documents, prepared the filings. Emergency injunction, Wolf explained to Emily. We're asking the court to freeze all collection activity on your account pending investigation of fraud. Will it work? We've got phantom billing charges, internal emails proving you were targeted, a pattern of 52 identical cases, a whistleblower with boxes of documents. He met her eyes. It'll work. At 9:15 a.m., the lawyers filed the paperwork. At 10:30 a.m., they added a class action component. 52 victims, all represented. At 11:45 a.m., Wolf called the Ohio Attorney General's office. I have evidence of systematic consumer fraud by a debt collection agency, targeting of healthcare workers, fraudulent billing, predatory interest rates, and a spreadsheet tracking 17 suicide victims. The AG's office assigned an investigator by noon. At 2 p.m., Thunder made his own call. Ohio State Capitol, Senator David Morrison's office. The receptionist answered. Senator Morrison's office, how may I direct your call? This is Thomas Williams. I'm calling about medical debt legislation, specifically the Medical Debt Priority Act that Senator Morrison sponsored in 2019. I'll transfer you to his legislative aide. The aide came on the line. Mr. Williams, how can I help you? I'm investigating a debt collection company called Meridian. They've been using the Medical Debt Priority Act to destroy young healthcare workers. 52 confirmed victims, 17 suicides. Silence. I'm looking at Senator Morrison's campaign finance records right now. Meridian donated $52,000 to his 2019 campaign. Richard Blackwood, Meridian's regional director, personally donated $31,000. More silence. I'm wondering if the senator would like to comment before this information becomes public. The aide's voice was tight. I'll have to get back to you. Please do. The press conference is scheduled for Thursday. Thunder hung up. Wolf raised an eyebrow. There's no press conference scheduled for Thursday. There is now. Wednesday morning, Emily sat across from Dr. Yolanda Pierce for her first therapy session. Dr. Pierce was 53 years old. Warm eyes, calm voice, 20 years of experience treating trauma survivors. Emily, before we start, I want you to know that nothing you say leaves this room. This is your space, your time. You're in control here. Emily nodded slowly. I don't know where to begin. Begin wherever feels right. There's no wrong answer. Emily was quiet for a long moment. I was going to die. 3 nights ago. I'd decided. I was done fighting. The cold was going to take me, and I was going to let it. What changed? A man collapsed in the parking lot. Heart attack. And I couldn't just watch him die. I'm a nurse. That's who I am. Even when I wanted to give up, I couldn't let someone else die if I could help. So you helped. I ran. I did CPR. I saved his life. And then my body gave up. Dr. Pierce leaned forward. Emily, you said you wanted to die, but when someone else needed you, you ran toward them. What does that tell you about yourself? Emily didn't answer. It tells me that somewhere inside you, there's a part that still wants to live. A part that still believes you matter, even when everything else is telling you to give up. Tears streamed down Emily's face. But I don't know how to find that part anymore. I've been surviving for so long. I forgot what it feels like to actually live. That's what we're going to work on, together, one step at a time. Dr. Pierce handed her a tissue. Can I ask you something? Emily nodded. What do you need to feel safe right now, in this moment? What would it take? Emily thought for a long time. I need to know they can't take this away, the people who are helping me, the chance to start over. I need to know I'm allowed to exist without apologizing for it. You are allowed to exist, and we're going to work on helping you believe that. The session lasted 2 hours. When Emily walked out, she felt something she hadn't felt in 11 months. Not hope, not yet, but the possibility of hope. Thursday morning, Wolf arrived at the clubhouse with news that changed everything. We found the connection. Thunder looked up from his coffee. What connection? Senator Morrison and Meridian. It's not just campaign donations. It's deeper, much deeper. Wolf spread documents across the table. In 2019, Senator Morrison sponsored the Medical Debt Priority Act, the law that allows collection agencies to bypass bankruptcy protections for medical debt, the law that made it legal for Meridian to garnish 78% of Emily's wages. We knew that. What we didn't know is who wrote the law. I pulled the original draft from legislative archives. The language is almost identical to Meridian's internal collection guidelines. Thunder stared at him. Morrison didn't write the law. Meridian wrote it. Richard Blackwood's team drafted the legislation. Then they donated $52,000 to Morrison's campaign. Then Morrison introduced it as his own bill. Wrench whistled. They bought a law. They bought a system. The law passed with bipartisan support. Nobody questioned it because it was buried in a larger healthcare omnibus bill. Most legislators didn't even know what they were voting for. Thunder picked up the documents. So Meridian wrote the rules. Then they used those rules to destroy people. And they paid politicians to make it all legal. That's exactly what happened. How many other states? Wolf pulled up his laptop. I've been digging all week. Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Kentucky. Same pattern. Debt collection companies donating to legislators who sponsor debt-friendly laws. It's a network. It's an industry. Medical debt collection is a $140 billion market. These companies spend millions lobbying for laws that let them extract maximum profit from the most vulnerable people. Thunder sat back. So we're not just fighting one company, we're fighting a system designed to protect predators. Yes. Good. I like a challenge. Emily heard everything. She walked into the room and stood there processing. They wrote the law that destroyed me. Wolf nodded. Meridian's legal team drafted the legislation. Senator Morrison put his name on it, and now it's being used to target young healthcare workers across 5 states. Emily's hands curled into fists. How many people, total? Across all 5 states? Wolf hesitated. We're still mapping it, but based on the patterns we've identified, how many? At least 400 confirmed victims. Probably more. Emily closed her eyes. 400 people. 400 lives destroyed by a law written by the people destroying them. I want to testify. Thunder looked at her. Emily, you don't have to. I want to testify. I want to look at legislators and tell them exactly what their law did to me. I want them to see my face when they vote. That's a big commitment. You'd be making yourself a target. I've been a target for 15 months. At least now I get to shoot back. Thunder smiled grimly. All right, we'll make it happen. Friday morning, the emergency injunction hearing arrived. Emily sat in the courtroom wearing borrowed clothes that actually fit. Shepard's wife had taken her shopping. First new clothes in over a year. The courtroom was full. 47 members of the Iron Brotherhood sat in the gallery. They'd left their vests at the clubhouse. Thunder's orders, they looked like ordinary citizens, concerned community members. But Emily knew who they were. Her army. Across the aisle, Richard Blackwood sat with 3 corporate lawyers. He wore an expensive suit, perfect hair, confident posture. He hadn't looked at Emily once. Judge Patricia Chen presided. 61 years old, 22 years on the bench, known for her impatience with corporate lawyers. We're here on an emergency motion to freeze collection activity on the account of Emily Carter, pending investigation of fraudulent billing practices. Counsel for the plaintiff, you may proceed. Emily's lawyer stood. Your Honor, we have documented evidence of systematic fraud by Meridian Debt Solutions. The plaintiff's original hospital bill of $312,000 included $89,000 in phantom charges, procedures that were never performed, services never rendered. She handed documents to the clerk. We have itemized billing showing an appendectomy charged to a patient who never had an appendectomy. Physical therapy consultations dated during a period when the patient was in a medically induced coma. Psychiatric evaluations that never occurred. Judge Chen reviewed the documents. Continue. Furthermore, we have internal emails from Meridian showing that Ms. Carter was specifically targeted because of her status as a licensed nurse. The emails use phrases like high-value target and she'll pay because she needs her license. The lawyer pulled up another document. We also have evidence of a pattern. 52 other victims across Ohio, all young healthcare workers, all targeted using identical methods. And Your Honor, we have documentation of 17 former Meridian victims who died by suicide. The courtroom stirred. Meridian has an internal code for these deaths. CT7. Client termination. They track suicide victims like business metrics. Judge Chen's face hardened. Counsel for the defense. Response. Meridian's lead lawyer stood. Smooth voice. Practiced calm. Your Honor, while we sympathize with Ms. Carter's situation, Meridian Debt Solutions acted within the full bounds of Ohio law. The interest rate wage garnishment and collection procedures were all legally authorized. We purchased legitimate debt from a hospital and pursued standard collection practices. Standard practices, Judge Chen repeated. I'm reading an email here from Mr. Blackwood dated 2 weeks after Ms. Carter's accident. Quote, recent nursing grad, RN license, clean credit prior. She'll pay. Prioritize. She looked directly at Blackwood. Mr. Blackwood, did you write this email? The lead lawyer started to speak. I'm asking Mr. Blackwood directly. Blackwood stood slowly. Yes, Your Honor. That email reflects our assessment of the case's collectability. You targeted her specifically because she was a licensed professional. We prioritize cases with higher likelihood of payment. That's standard business practice. Judge Chen read another document. Here's another email. Insurance gap confirmed. She's undefended. File garnishment immediately upon sale completion. You knew she had no insurance when you purchased her debt. That information was included in the file we purchased from the hospital. And you proceeded to garnish 78% of her wages despite knowing this would make it impossible for her to afford housing. The garnishment rate is set by Ohio statute, Your Honor. But the decision to pursue maximum garnishment was yours. Blackwood said nothing. Judge Chen set down the papers. I've reviewed the evidence presented by both parties. I've also received additional documentation from the Ohio Attorney General's office. 52 cases with identical patterns. Young healthcare workers targeted by your division. All driven into financial collapse. She looked at Blackwood. This isn't standard collection practice, Mr. Blackwood. This is systematic predation. She turned to Emily. Ms. Carter, would you like to address the court? Emily stood. Her legs were shaking, but her voice was steady. Your Honor, 15 months ago I graduated nursing school. I wanted to spend my life helping people. I got hit by a drunk driver 4 days before my insurance activated. The hospital saved my life. Then they billed me into homelessness. She looked at Blackwood. I've been sleeping in parking garages, in stairwells. I've given away my shelter bed to mothers with children because I thought they deserved warmth more than I did. I almost died 3 weeks ago. I was ready to let the cold take me. Her voice cracked. Then I saved a stranger's life, and strangers saved mine. And now I'm standing here asking the court to stop the people who did this to me from doing it to anyone else. She held up her old nursing license. This is who I am. A nurse. A healer. Not a number. Not a case file. Not a high-value target. A human being who wanted to help people. She looked at the judge. Please, don't let them destroy anyone else. Judge Chen was quiet for a long moment. The emergency injunction is granted. All collection activity on Ms. Carter's account is frozen pending completion of the fraud investigation. Meridian Debt Solutions is prohibited from contacting Ms. Carter or garnishing any future wages. Emily exhaled. Furthermore, I'm ordering Meridian to provide the court with complete files on all 52 cases identified by the Attorney General within 10 business days. If the fraud allegations are substantiated, this court will consider sanctions including debt forgiveness and punitive damages. She looked at Blackwood. Mr. Blackwood, you may want to consult with your legal team about your personal liability in this matter. The gavel came down. Court is adjourned. Emily walked out of that courthouse with Thunder on one side and Jake on the other. The January sun was bright, cold, clean. She stopped on the steps, closed her eyes, felt the warmth on her face. It's not over, Thunder said gently. I know. Emily opened her eyes. But for the first time in 11 months, they can't hurt me. She looked at Jake. That's enough for today. Behind them, 47 men in ordinary clothes walked out of the courthouse. They didn't say anything. They didn't need to. Emily Carter wasn't fighting alone anymore. The victory lasted exactly 18 hours. Emily woke up Saturday morning to Shepard shaking her shoulder. "Emily, wake up. Something happened." She sat up, heart pounding. What's wrong?" Meridian filed an appeal. Emergency motion. They're claiming the injunction was based on falsified evidence. Emily's blood went cold. Falsified everything we showed them was real. They're saying the whistleblower documents are forged. They're saying Patricia Goodwin fabricated evidence to harm the company. That's insane. She worked there for 3 years. She has emails training manuals. They're also filing a defamation suit. Against you, against Thunder, against the entire chapter. Emily couldn't breathe. They're suing us, $47 million, for damaging their reputation and interfering with their business operations. Thunder appeared in the doorway. "Get dressed. We're having an emergency meeting in 20 minutes. The clubhouse was chaos. Wolf paced back and forth, phone pressed to his ear. Wrench typed furiously on his laptop. The lawyers had arrived at 6 a.m. and hadn't stopped talking since. Thunder stood at the center of it all, calm as stone. "Talk to me. What are we dealing with?" The lead attorney, a woman named Sandra Chen, spread papers across the table. "Meridian is pulling out every weapon they have. The appeal claims Judge Chen was biased. The defamation suit is designed to bury you in legal fees. And they've filed a motion to seal all the documents Patricia provided claiming trade secrets. Can they do that? They can try. The appeal will probably fail. The evidence is solid, but the defamation suit could drag on for years. Legal fees alone could bankrupt the chapter." Thunder's jaw tightened. "What about the Attorney General investigation?" "Still moving forward, but Meridian has lobbyists. They're already pressuring the AG's office to drop the case." Emily felt sick. "So they're going to get away with it, after everything?" "No." Thunder's voice was absolute. "They're not getting away with anything. They're just fighting back. We expected this. Did we expect a $47 million lawsuit? We expected them to try to destroy us. That's what predators do when you corner them. They lash out." He turned to Sandra. "What's our best move? We need to go public, fast, before Meridian controls the narrative. If this becomes a media story, they can't bury it in courts." "How fast?" "Today, now. We need Emily's story in front of cameras before the sun goes down." Emily's hands started shaking. "I'm not ready. I can't." "Emily." Thunder knelt beside her. "I know this is terrifying, but right now silence is their weapon. They're counting on you being too scared to speak. They're betting that you'll hide." "I've been hiding for 11 months. "Exactly, and it almost killed you. What would have happened if you'd stayed hidden that night in the parking lot if you hadn't run to help that stranger?" Emily was quiet. "You'd be dead, and so would he. Sometimes the only way to survive is to stop hiding." She looked at him, at the men gathered around, at Jake, who hadn't left her side since that frozen night. "What do I have to do?" Wolf stepped forward. "We've got a journalist friend at the Cleveland Plain Dealer. She's been investigating medical debt for 2 years. She wants to run Emily's story as the centerpiece of a major exposé. When? She can meet us in an hour. Article goes online tonight. Print edition tomorrow morning." Thunder looked at Emily. "Your call. Nobody's going to force you." Emily thought about the 17 names on that spreadsheet. The people who'd died alone, crushed by a system designed to destroy them. She thought about the 52 other victims still trapped. She thought about the next 23-year-old nurse who'd graduate with hopes and dreams only to have one accident destroy everything. "Let's do it." The interview lasted 3 hours. Rebecca Morrison was 44 years old. Sharp eyes, careful questions. She recorded everything, took notes, asked for clarification when she needed it. Emily told her story from the beginning. The accident, the bills, the garnishment, the eviction, the repossession, the months of homelessness, the night she'd decided to die, and the night she'd chosen to live instead. "One more question," Rebecca said. "What do you want people to understand when they read this story? What's the one thing you need them to know?" Emily thought for a long moment. "I want them to know that this isn't about me. This is about a system that destroys the people trying to heal us. Nurses, paramedics, medical techs, the people who run toward emergencies instead of away from them." Her voice hardened. "I want them to know that somewhere right now, there's another young healthcare worker getting a bill they can't pay. And if we don't fix this system, they're going to end up exactly where I ended up. Homeless, hopeless, ready to die. And Meridian Richard Blackwood, what do you want to say to them?" Emily looked directly at the recorder. "I want to say that I'm not hiding anymore. I'm not going to disappear quietly while you destroy other people. You tried to kill me with paperwork and interest rates and legal loopholes, and I'm still here. I'm still fighting, and I'm going to make sure the whole world knows exactly what you do to people." Rebecca turned off the recorder. "That's going to lead the story." The article went live at 8 p.m. Within 2 hours, it had been shared 40,000 times. By midnight, every major news outlet in Ohio had picked it up. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, local affiliates across the country. Emily Carter's face was everywhere. So was Richard Blackwood's. At 6 a.m. Sunday morning, Thunder got a call from Rebecca Morrison. "Something's happening. Meridian's stock price dropped 14% overnight. Their board of directors called an emergency meeting, and I've got 3 more whistleblowers who want to talk." 3 more former employees. They saw the article and reached out. They have documents, recordings, evidence of things we haven't even begun to uncover. Thunder felt something shift in his chest. This is bigger than we thought. Much bigger. Emily's story broke something open. People are coming forward. Victims, employees, even legislators who want to distance themselves from Meridian before the whole thing collapses. "What do you need from us? Keep Emily safe, keep her visible, and get ready for the next round, because Meridian is about to fight back harder than ever." She was right. Monday morning, Richard Blackwood called a press conference. Thunder and Jake watched the live stream from the clubhouse. Emily sat between them, her hands clenched. Blackwood stood at a podium surrounded by lawyers and PR specialists. His hair was perfect. His suit was impeccable. His expression was calm. "I want to address the false accusations that have been circulating in the media. Meridian Debt Solutions is a legitimate company that operates within the full bounds of the law. We provide a valuable service to hospitals and healthcare systems across this country." Emily's stomach turned. The allegations made by Emily Carter are completely unfounded. The documents presented as evidence were fabricated by a disgruntled former employee. We are pursuing legal action against everyone responsible for this coordinated smear campaign. Jake muttered something unprintable. "I want to be clear. Meridian has never targeted anyone. We have never engaged in fraudulent billing practices. We have never driven anyone to homelessness or suicide. These claims are defamatory, malicious, and completely false." Blackwood looked directly into the camera. To Emily Carter, "I understand you've been through difficult times, but blaming Meridian for your personal financial failures will not help you. We encourage you to take responsibility for your own choices and stop spreading lies about hardworking professionals who are just doing their jobs." Emily stood up. "He's blaming me. He's actually blaming me." "Emily, I almost died. I slept in parking garages for 11 months. I gave away my shelter beds because I thought I deserved to freeze. And he's standing there in his expensive suit telling the world it's my fault." Her voice cracked with rage. He drives a Porsche. He lives in a mansion. He makes $380,000 a year destroying people's lives. And I'm the one who needs to take responsibility. Thunder put a hand on her shoulder. This is exactly what they want. They want you angry. They want you to lash out so they can point at you and say, "See, she's unstable. She can't be trusted." Then what am I supposed to do? Just let him lie? No. We're going to destroy him, but we're going to do it with facts, not fury. He turned to Wolf. The 3 new whistleblowers. What do they have? Wolf looked grim. More than we imagined. One of them worked in Blackwood's office for 6 years. She has recordings. Actual audio recordings of meetings where they discussed targeting strategies. Recordings. Blackwood on tape talking about how to maximize collections from undefended targets, his exact words. These people have no lawyers, no advocates, no one watching. We can do whatever we want. Thunder smiled coldly. Get me those recordings. Today. The recordings went public, Tuesday morning. Rebecca Morrison released them through the plain dealer. Richard Blackwood's voice, unmistakable, discussing how to exploit vulnerable people. Young nurses are perfect targets. They're desperate to keep their licenses. They'll pay anything to protect their careers. We push hard and fast. By the time they realize what's happening, they're already trapped. Another clip. Bankruptcy protection, please. We wrote the laws. We know every loophole. These people can't escape us even if they try. And the worst one. So what if some of them can't handle the pressure? That's not our problem. We're not responsible for what they do to themselves. We're just collecting what we're owed. The internet exploded. Richard Blackwood was trending on every platform. Politicians who'd taken his money rushed to return donations. Hospitals that had sold debt to Meridian issued statements distancing themselves from the company. And at 2 p.m. Tuesday, the Ohio Attorney General held a press conference. Based on new evidence, this office is expanding its investigation into Meridian debt solutions. We are now pursuing criminal charges against Richard Blackwood and other company executives for fraud, racketeering, and conspiracy to commit financial exploitation. Emily watched the announcement from the clubhouse. She was crying, not from sadness this time. They're actually doing something. The government is actually doing something. Thunder nodded. When enough people pay attention, even the government has to act. You made them pay attention, Emily. You did this. We did this. Yeah, we did. Wednesday morning, Thunder decided it was time. He'd been planning this for days, waiting for the right moment. The moment when Blackwood was weakest. I'm going to talk to him. Jake looked up sharply. Talk to who? Blackwood, face to face. Are you insane? He's got lawyers, security, probably hitmen for all we know. I'm not going to hurt him. I'm going to make him understand what he did. Emily stepped forward. I want to come. Emily, that's not... He blamed me on national television. He called me a liar. He said I should take responsibility for my own choices. I want to look him in the eye and show him exactly what his choices did to me. Thunder considered her for a long moment. All right, but we do this my way. No confrontation. No violence. Just truth. They found Blackwood at 7:45 a.m. Thursday, pulling into the parking lot of Meridian's regional headquarters. His Porsche was freshly washed. His suit was expensive. He walked toward the building like a man who still believed he was untouchable. Thunder was waiting for him. Blackwood stopped when he saw the motorcycle, the vest, the man sitting on it with his arms crossed. Who are you? My name's Thomas Williams. Jake Morrison is one of my brothers. Emily Carter saved his father's life. Blackwood's face flickered with recognition. You're the bikers, the ones behind this witch hunt. We're the ones who found out what you do to people. I don't know what you think you found, But I think I found emails where you call young nurses high-value targets. I think I found recordings where you brag about writing the laws that let you exploit people. I think I found a spreadsheet tracking 17 suicide victims. CT7. Client termination. Blackwood's expression didn't change. Everything Meridian does is legal. Legal and right aren't the same thing. That's not my problem. I follow the law. You wrote the law. You paid politicians to pass it. Then you used it to destroy people who couldn't fight back. Thunder pulled out his phone, showed Blackwood a photo. Emily from 3 weeks ago. Skeletal. Frostbitten. Barely alive. This is what your policies look like. 23 years old. Trained to save lives. Almost died in a parking lot because you needed a bigger commission check. Blackwood glanced at the photo, then away. She made poor financial decisions. She got hit by a drunk driver. And she chose not to manage her debt responsibly. She was taking home $71 a month after you garnished her wages. That's not my fault. I don't set the rates. You set the strategy. You chose maximum garnishment. You targeted her because you knew she was vulnerable. Blackwood's patience finally cracked. Listen to me carefully. I don't destroy people. I collect debts. If people can't handle that, it's not my responsibility. The system exists because hospitals need to get paid. Healthcare costs money. Someone has to collect. Someone has to profit, you mean? Profit is what makes the world work. I'm not going to apologize for being good at my job. Emily stepped out from behind Thunder. Blackwood saw her and went still. She was 12 pounds heavier than that photo. Her color was better. She looked alive. But the look in her eyes could have cut glass. You're good at your job. Her voice was quiet, controlled. Let me tell you what your job did to me. She stepped closer. I slept in a stairwell at the hospital where I was supposed to work. I ate out of garbage cans because I couldn't afford food. I gave away my shelter bed to mothers with children because I thought I deserved to freeze more than they did. Another step. I decided to die. I picked a night. I was going to let the cold take me because I couldn't see any other way out. The system you're so proud of convinced me that I was worthless, that I didn't deserve to exist. She was right in front of him now. And you know what saved me, not your system, not your laws, not your policies. A stranger collapsed in a parking lot and I couldn't let him die. Because even when I wanted to give up on myself, I couldn't give up on someone else. Her voice cracked. That's the difference between us. I save lives. You destroy them. And you stand there in your expensive suit telling me I made poor financial decisions. Blackwood said nothing. You want to know what poor financial decisions look like? Dedicating your life to helping people and getting punished for it. Graduating nursing school and ending up homeless because a drunk driver ran a red light. Trying to pay your bills and watching a collection agency take everything anyway. She held up her old nursing license. This is who I am. A nurse. A healer. Not a case number. Not a target. Not a profit margin. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you can never do this to anyone else. Blackwood's face was stone. Are you finished? No. I want you to remember something. When you lose your job, when you lose your house, when your wife leaves and your kids are ashamed to have your name, I want you to remember this moment. I want you to remember that you had a chance to feel something, to understand what you did, and you chose not to. Emily stepped back. That's the difference between losing and being destroyed. Losing is what happens to you. Being destroyed is what you do to yourself. You destroyed yourself a long time ago, Mr. Blackwood. You just didn't know it yet. She turned and walked away. Thunder followed. Blackwood stood alone in that parking lot, watching them go. For the first time since this started, his hands were shaking. Friday brought the next blow. The Ohio State Legislature announced emergency hearings on medical debt reform. Emily was invited to testify. She arrived at the Capitol building wearing borrowed professional clothes. Her old suspended nursing license was pinned to her jacket. 214 motorcycles rolled into the parking lot behind her. The bikers didn't wear their vests. Thunder's orders. They looked like ordinary citizens, concerned community members. But everyone knew who they were. Senator David Morrison, the one who'd taken $52,000 from Meridian, tried to have the hearing postponed. The committee chair refused. These citizens have a right to be heard. We're proceeding. Emily sat at the witness table. Cameras everywhere. Legislators watching. She told her story again. Every detail, every document, every moment of despair. And when she finished, she looked directly at Senator Morrison. You took $52,000 from the company that destroyed me. You sponsored the law they used to do it. How many other people did your law hurt, Senator? How many people lost their homes, their careers, their lives? Morrison's face went red. That's not... I didn't know how the law would be used. You didn't ask. You took their money and passed their legislation without asking who it would hurt. And now 17 people are dead. 52 more lost everything. And you're sitting here pretending you didn't know. The gallery erupted. The committee chair had to call for order 3 times. When the hearing ended, Emily walked out of that building surrounded by men who'd started as strangers and become family. The Ohio Medical Debt Fairness Act was introduced that afternoon. By the following Monday, Richard Blackwood had been terminated by Meridian's board of directors. His severance was denied. His stock options were frozen. His professional licenses were under review. The man who'd destroyed hundreds of lives was finally facing consequences. But Emily didn't feel triumphant. She felt tired, and she felt like the fight wasn't over yet, because 52 other victims were still waiting for justice. And she'd made them a promise. 3 months passed. Spring arrived slowly. The ice melted. The days grew longer. And Emily Carter's life reassembled itself piece by piece. The first thing she got back was housing. Diesel, the chapter's firefighter, knew a landlord who owed him a favor. Studio apartment, $580 a month. First month free. Safe neighborhood. Working heat. Emily walked into that empty apartment on a Tuesday afternoon. Just her, a sleeping bag, and a box of donated clothes. She stood in the middle of the room and cried for 30 minutes. Not from sadness, from disbelief. 11 months of sleeping in stairwells. 11 months of giving away shelter beds. 11 months of believing she would never have a home again. And now she had walls. A door that locked. A place where nobody could make her leave. Shepard arrived an hour later with furniture from the clubhouse storage. A bed frame, a small couch, dishes, a coffee maker. It's not much, he said. But it's yours. It's everything. Wolf and Wrench showed up with groceries. Frost brought vitamins and protein supplements. 3 meals a day, Frost said. Doctor's orders, no skipping. I don't know how to thank you. Any of you. You already did. You survived. That's thanks enough. Medical care came next. Frost used his connections to get Emily into a clinic that treated patients regardless of ability to pay. Real appointments, blood work, dental checkup, a nutritionist who didn't judge. She'd lost 18 pounds during her months of homelessness. Her body had been consuming itself to survive. You were maybe 2 weeks from organ failure, the nutritionist told her. Your system was shutting down. I didn't realize it was that bad. That's how malnutrition works. By the time you notice, it's almost too late. Emily went to every appointment, took every vitamin, ate every meal Frost put in front of her. She gained 12 pounds in the first month. Her face started to look like her again. The legal battle raged on without her. Wolf and the attorneys handled the class action lawsuit. 52 victims, all represented, all fighting. The Attorney General's investigation expanded. More whistleblowers came forward. More documents surfaced. More executives were named. Richard Blackwood was indicted on March 15th. Fraud, racketeering, conspiracy to commit financial exploitation. His bail was set at $2 million. He made bail. But his passport was confiscated. His assets were frozen. His wife filed for divorce 3 days later. Emily heard the news and felt nothing. She'd expected satisfaction, triumph, vindication. Instead, she just felt tired. Jake visited her apartment that evening. "You okay?" "I don't know. I thought I'd feel different. He's facing criminal charges. His life is falling apart, but I don't feel better." "What do you feel?" Emily was quiet for a long moment. "I feel like it doesn't matter what happens to him. It matters what happens to the others. The 52 victims, the 17 who died, their families. That's what I care about. Not revenge." Jake nodded slowly. "That's why you're different from him. He destroyed people for profit. You saved people for nothing. That's the difference. I didn't save anyone. I just survived." "You saved my father." Emily looked at him. "I still think about that night. What if I hadn't collapsed? What if your father's ambulance had been on time? What if I'd just let the cold take me like I planned?" "But you didn't. You chose to help a stranger instead of giving up. That's not nothing, Emily. That's everything." She started crying. "I don't know who I am anymore. For 11 months I was just trying to survive. Now I have a home, I have food, I have people who care about me, and I don't know what to do with any of it." Jake sat beside her. "You don't have to figure it out today. You just have to keep waking up tomorrow." "What if tomorrow feels as empty as today?" "Then you wake up the day after that, and the day after that, until one morning you wake up and it doesn't feel empty anymore." Emily wiped her eyes. "Is that what happened to you? After your sister?" "No. What happened to me was anger. I woke up every day furious at a system that killed someone I loved, and I channeled that anger into fighting, into the brotherhood, into helping people like you." "Does the anger ever go away?" "No. But it changes. It becomes purpose. It becomes action. It becomes something you can use instead of something that uses you." Emily looked at her hands. The frostbite scars were fading. "I want to go back to nursing." Jake's eyes widened. "Really? That's who I am. That's who I've always been. I became a nurse because I wanted to help people, and I've been letting fear stop me from being myself." "What about your license?" "The suspension was for non-payment of administrative fees. The Attorney General's office is working to get it reinstated. All 52 of us. Anyone whose license was suspended because of Meridian's collections." "That's huge." "It's a start." 3 weeks later, Emily got a letter. She opened it with shaking hands. State of Ohio Board of Nursing. Relicense reinstatement. Dear Ms. Carter, following review of your case and pursuant to emergency provisions under the Ohio Medical Debt Fairness Act, your nursing license has been reinstated effective immediately. All administrative penalties have been waived. Your record has been expunged of any suspension notations. Emily read it 3 times. Then she called thunder. "It happened. They gave me my license back." "I know. I got a call from the Attorney General's office this morning. All 52 licenses reinstated. Full expungement." "That's incredible. You did this, Emily. Your testimony, your courage, You changed the law. We changed it. Yeah, we did. Emily hung up and looked at the letter again. For the first time in 15 months, she felt like a nurse. The hospital settlement offer arrived in April. Mercy General's legal team had been watching the news coverage. The Meridian collapse, the legislative hearings, Emily's face on every channel. They knew they were next. The offer was substantial. Complete forgiveness of her original debt. $100,000 for pain and suffering, a public apology, and a non-disclosure agreement. Emily sat in the clubhouse reading the documents. Thunder and Jake sat across from her. "What do you think?" she asked. Thunder's voice was careful. "It's your decision. Nobody's going to judge you either way." "But what do you think?" "I think the money would change your life. $100,000 is a lot. You could pay off debts, build savings, start fresh." But that NDA means you can never talk about what happened. You can't testify against them. You can't help the other victims build their cases. You can't push for the systemic changes that would prevent this from happening to the next person. Emily looked at the papers. "They're trying to buy my silence." "Yes. They're offering me money to disappear quietly and let them keep doing this to other people." "That's exactly what they're doing." Emily picked up the settlement offer, held it for a long moment. Then she tore it in half. "Tell them no." Jake exhaled. "Are you sure? I didn't survive 11 months of hell to help them cover it up. I survived to make sure nobody else has to go through what I went through." She looked at Thunder. "We fight, all the way. Whatever it takes." Thunder smiled. "I was hoping you'd say that." The Ohio Medical Debt Fairness Act passed on May 3rd. Emily testified 3 times during the legislative hearings. She wore her nursing scrubs each time. Her reinstated license pinned to her pocket. The final vote was 94-18. Medical debt interest capped at 5%, down from 380%. Hospitals required to bill uninsured patients at the same rate as insured patients. Professional licenses cannot be suspended for debt unrelated to professional conduct. Wage garnishment for medical debt limited to 12% of income, down from 78%. Mandatory charity care programs for patients earning below 400% of the federal poverty line. Governor Michael Torres signed the bill in a ceremony at the state capitol. Emily stood beside him, surrounded by other survivors. 52 victims who had become 52 advocates. The governor handed her the pen he'd used. "You changed the law, Miss Carter." "We all did. Everyone who shared their story. Everyone who refused to stay silent." "What's next for you?" Emily looked at the pen in her hand. "I'm going back to work. I'm going to be a nurse again. After everything you've been through, because of everything I've been through, I became a nurse to help people. That hasn't changed. The system tried to take that from me. It failed." Rebecca Morrison wrote one final article. Homeless nurse who changed Ohio law returns to medicine. Emily Carter starts new position at Cleveland Metro Hospital this week. The 23-year-old nurse whose story exposed systematic predation in medical debt collection will work in the emergency department where she trained. "I've been waiting 15 months to get back to this," Carter told the plain dealer. "Nursing isn't just my job. It's who I am." The article included a photo. Emily in new scrubs, standing tall, smiling. The same woman from that frozen parking lot, but different. Stronger. Alive. Emily's first shift was on a Thursday. She arrived at Cleveland Metro Hospital at 6:47 a.m. Her heart was pounding. Her hands were steady. The charge nurse met her at the staff entrance. "Emily Carter." That's me? I'm Margaret. I've been doing this job for 31 years. I've seen a lot of nurses come and go, but I've never met one who survived what you survived and came back fighting. I almost didn't. A lot of people helped me. That's how it works. Nobody survives alone. Welcome to the team. Emily walked into that ER like she'd never left. The sounds were familiar. The rhythm. The controlled chaos of emergency medicine. She'd spent 11 months dreaming about this. 11 months wondering if she'd ever wear scrubs again. And now she was home. Her first patient was a 73-year-old woman with chest pain, possible cardiac event. Emily moved through the assessment protocol like breathing. Vitals, history, EKG, IV access. Her hands remembered everything. The attending physician nodded approvingly. Good work, Carter. You've got good instincts. Thank you. I've been waiting a long time to use them. At 9:15 a.m., a code was called. Cardiac arrest. Trauma Bay 3. Emily grabbed the crash cart and ran. The patient was a young man, mid-20s. Motorcycle accident. Massive internal injuries. His brother stood in the corner, wearing a leather vest. Ohio chapter patches. His face was frozen with terror. Emily worked the code with her team. Chest compressions, medications, defibrillation. 6 minutes of controlled chaos. And then the monitor settled. Beep, beep, beep. Regular, strong, alive. We've got a pulse, the attending announced. Emily stepped back, breathing hard, hands shaking from adrenaline. They'd won this one. The brother in the corner was crying. He looked at Emily's name tag. Did a double take. Wait, Emily Carter, the nurse from the news. Emily nodded, still catching her breath. You're a legend, ma'am. My chapter talks about your story. This is why we fight, they say. This is what it looks like when the system can't break someone. The system almost broke me. But it didn't. You're here. You just saved my brother's life. Emily looked at the patient. Stable now, being prepped for surgery. That's my job. It's more than a job. It's who you are. Emily felt something warm spread through her chest. Yeah. It is. The brother wiped his eyes. How do you do it after everything you've been through? How do you keep going? Emily thought about the question. I don't do it alone. Nobody does. We find people who understand, people who've lost what we've lost, and we carry it together. The bikers who helped you, the Iron Brotherhood, them and others. Nurses, doctors, patients, everyone who shows up when someone needs help. We're all the same army. Just wearing different uniforms? Emily smiled. Exactly. 10 months after that frozen night in the parking lot, Jake Morrison visited Emily's apartment. She'd decorated now. Pictures on the walls, plants on the windowsill. A real home. He noticed something sitting on her kitchen counter. Her old nursing license. The suspended one, the one he'd found in the snow. Why do you keep that? Emily picked it up, held it carefully. Because I never want to forget. Forget what? Everything. The parking lot. The cold. The nights I thought about giving up, and the night I didn't. She looked at him. I keep it because it reminds me who I was, and who I became, and the difference between them. What's the difference? The difference is you and Thunder, and every person who showed up when I had nothing, when the government failed me, when the hospital billed me into homelessness, when the world walked past me like I was invisible. Her voice cracked. You stopped. You saw me. You decided I was worth saving. Jake felt his throat tighten. You saved my father first. I saved a stranger. I didn't know he was connected to you. I just saw someone who needed help. That's the point. You helped when you didn't have to, when you had every reason to let go. That's why you deserve to be saved. Emily set down the license. I want to tell you something. Something I've been thinking about for months. What? That night in the parking lot, when I decided to let the cold take me, I wasn't sad. I wasn't scared. I was just tired. Tired of fighting a system that always won. Tired of trying to survive in a world that didn't want me. She took a breath. And then that man collapsed, and everything changed. Because I realized something in that moment. Something that saved my life. What did you realize? That I still cared. About strangers. About people I'd never met. Even when I didn't care about myself anymore, I couldn't watch someone else die. Tears rolled down her face. That's the part of me that survived. The nurse, the healer, the person who runs toward emergencies instead of away from them. Everything else was broken, but that part was still there. Jake pulled her into a hug. That part is the best part. I know that now. I didn't know it then. You know it now. That's what matters. They stood there for a long moment. Finally, Emily stepped back. There's something else I need to tell you. What? The 52 victims, the class action lawsuit. It settled last week. Jake's eyes widened. What happened? Meridian's insurance company agreed to a $12.8 million payout. All victims will receive compensation. All debts will be forgiven. All records will be expunged. That's incredible. It's not enough. Money can't give people back the years they lost. It can't bring back the 17 who died. But it's something. It's accountability. And Blackwood, trial starts in August. The prosecutors are confident. With all the evidence, the recordings, the whistleblower testimony, he's looking at 15 to 20 years. Jake exhaled slowly. It's really over. No, it's really beginning. The law passed in Ohio. But there are 49 other states. Millions of other people trapped in the same system. This fight isn't over. It's just getting started. And you're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep fighting. All of us. Together. Emily walked to her window, looked out at the city. You know what I think about sometimes, the drunk driver? The one who hit me. The one who fled the scene and was never found. What about him? I used to hate him. I used to lie awake imagining what I'd say to him if I ever found him. How I'd make him understand what he did to me. And now I realize he's not the enemy. He's just one person who made one terrible choice. The real enemy is the system that took one accident and turned it into a death sentence. The billing practices, the collection agencies, the laws that protect predators instead of victims. She turned to face Jake. That's what we're fighting. Not one person, a whole broken system. And systems can be changed. We proved that. Jake nodded. The Iron Brotherhood is with you, whatever comes next. I know. And that's the other thing I realized. About family. What about it? I grew up in foster care. I never had parents, never had siblings. I thought I'd never have family. Her voice softened. But family isn't just blood. Family is the people who show up. The people who fight for you when you can't fight for yourself. The people who carry you when you can't walk. She looked at him. You're my family now. You and Thunder and Frost and Wolf and all of them. I didn't know that kind of family existed. And now I do. Jake smiled. That's what the Brotherhood is about. Finding each other. Taking care of our own. Taking care of everyone. That's what I want it to be. Not just bikers helping bikers. People helping people. Because that's how systems change. One person at a time. One act of courage at a time. Emily picked up her old suspended license one more time. This is who I was. A nurse who lost everything. She set it down next to her new active license. This is who I am now. A nurse who found everything. Because strangers decided I was worth saving. She looked at Jake. That's the story I want people to remember. Not the debt. Not the homeless months. Not the system that tried to kill me. The people who wouldn't let it. For those of you watching, there's something I need you to understand. We often judge books by their covers. We see leather vests and tattoos and roaring engines, and we feel fear. We see homeless people sleeping in doorways, and we look away. But sometimes the toughest-looking people are the only ones soft enough to care. And sometimes the people sleeping in doorways used to be heroes. Nurses, paramedics, healers, people who dedicated their lives to helping others, destroyed by a system that was supposed to protect them. Emily Carter isn't alive today because of a lawsuit. She isn't alive because a law changed. She isn't alive because a corporation was held accountable. Emily Carter is alive because one man chose not to walk away. Jake Morrison saw a stranger in need and stopped. He carried her when she couldn't walk. He fought for her when she couldn't fight. And that choice, that single act of courage, started a chain reaction that changed a state's laws. That freed 52 victims. That brought a predatory company to its knees. One person stopped. One person cared. One person decided that a stranger's life was worth saving. That's how systems change, not through laws alone, through people, through courage, through the simple, radical act of giving a damn about someone you've never met. Emily Carter is back in the ER now, saving lives every day, proving that the system couldn't break her. And somewhere out there right now, there's another young nurse getting a bill she can't pay, another veteran facing bankruptcy, another mother choosing between medication and rent. They're waiting for someone to stop. They're waiting for someone to see them. They're waiting for their Jake Morrison. Maybe that's you. Maybe today is the day you become the person who changes everything for someone who has nothing. Because justice doesn't always arrive in a courtroom. Sometimes it arrives on two wheels with the roar of 200 engines and a simple promise that echoes through everything the Iron Brotherhood stands for. We take care of our own. And now so does Emily Carter. She saves lives. She changes laws. She refuses to let the system that tried to destroy her destroy anyone else. That frozen girl in the parking lot became a force that brought corporations to their knees and legislators to their senses. Not because she was special. Because someone stopped. Be the one who stops. Be the one who sees. Be the one who decides that a stranger's life is worth fighting for. Because that's not just how you save one person, that's how you change the world.